Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. My name is Chris Proctor. I am a personal trainer and owner of Chris Proctor Wellness. If you don't know me, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm going to make a commitment to create more long form videos for you guys just once a week so I can get them uploaded and hopefully help you out with your health and fitness goals, help you to take control of your health, your fitness, your nutrition, and get closer to whatever your goals are. And I know that's something that a lot of you are struggling with, which is why I really enjoy creating free content for people on channels like YouTube. I'm also on Instagram at Chris Proctor Personal Trainer. If you're not following me there, I post multiple times a day, free content about nutrition, fitness, overall health. So definitely check me out over there. So I hope you're having a great week so far. Today, I want to give you my top 5 reasons why the program you're following may not be producing results. Okay, so hopefully this will be a really helpful little YouTube cast for people so they can gain some insight into why maybe even though they're working out consistently, why even though they've been in the gym a lot, why aren't they seeing the results that they're really trying to achieve? And there could be a lot of reasons for that, and it's a really common thing. I talk to people all the time. If they're not my clients, they might say, hey, I've been following X program. I've been doing it for 12 weeks. I'm not really seeing the progress I expected. What do you think is going on? And obviously that requires a much deeper dive into analyzing what they're doing, what sort of program they're following, how hard they're working, things like that. But there's typically these 5 things that I look for to try and figure out, what's really going on, what could be adjusted, and how can we help this person reach the goals that they're trying to reach by maybe making some little tweaks to their program. So the first one I see is that a program is not necessarily designed with the end game in mind. So that is to say, it's not really in line with the person's goals, and that can be a big problem. So, if you're just looking to improve your overall fitness, improve your overall health, the program doesn't need to be quite as specific as when you have a very specific goal. However, the more specific your goal becomes, the more specific to your goal your program needs to be. So let's say, for instance, you have a very specific goal of deadlifting 500 pounds. Well, not only is that a very specific goal, that's a very lofty goal. 500 pounds is a lot of weight to be lifting. I've deadlifted 505 before. It's really, really heavy, and that's not something that you're just going to randomly, stumble upon and be able to do, right? It takes very intense training, intentional training, and consistent training. So if you're trying to achieve a very specific, very particular goal, you need to have a program that is designed with that goal in mind, because if it's not, I'm not saying you can't reach that goal, but it's probably going to take longer. It's not going to be as efficient, and you may not just see the amount of progress or the quality of progress that you're anticipating. So that's one thing you really need to think about. Make sure the program you're following is in line with what you're trying to do. The second one could be that your program maybe just isn't realistic for you. Now, that could mean a lot of different things. So maybe you're a busy stockbroker or a busy CFO. I know a lot of my clients are sort of higher level professionals, right? Surgeons. I have people who are CFOs of their companies, engineers, things like that. These are very, very busy people. These are people that work upwards of 50 to 60 hours a week and sometimes work odd hours. So when I work with them, their program really has to work in their life. So maybe you're in that same spot too. Maybe you're feeling like, I really want to get in shape. I'm working 45, 50, 60 hours a week, and getting to the gym 5 days a week just really isn't realistic for me. Right? So that could be something that's going on. It could be also, if it's not a time issue, it might also be like an intensity issue. Maybe you've never worked out before and somebody just tried to throw you into like a hardcore CrossFit program, and that's just not something you can keep up with. So that's another example of how it could just not be realistic for you to partake of that program at this point in your life. And that doesn't mean you can't do it later on when you've got more experience, when you are in a little bit better shape maybe. But those are some reasons that your program just may not be realistic for you to follow. And if it's a case like that, I would encourage you to, if you're working with a coach, definitely talk to your coach about that and let them know, like, hey, listen, I can't keep up with this program right now. Can we dial it back a little bit? And any good coach should be able to do that. If they get upset about it or they tell you they can't do that, then it's time to find another coach. Okay. The third one could be that you're not prioritizing your training. And this could be, a situation where you're often looking for excuses to skip out on your workouts when you really didn't need to. It could be that you're not prioritizing them in your day, and then your day gets away from you. But the thing you need to understand with any program, whether it's a lifting program, whether it is a run training program, triathletes, CrossFit, whatever it is, you got to prioritize it, okay? If you want to improve your overall health and you want to improve and reach your fitness goals, your workouts really need to be something that you make time for in your day, not something where you say, oh, if I have time for it, I'll do it. If I don't, then I won't. So if you're somebody who's like often finding that you're missing workouts because of things that could have been avoided, or maybe just because of poor planning on your part, then you definitely need to make some adjustments. Now, I am not telling you that you have to hit every single workout every single time. I'm not telling you that, if your boss gives you a deadline for a major presentation, that you have to put that off to go to the gym. Like, I get it. Like, some things are going to happen. Stuff comes up with your family. But on the whole, your exercise, your training really needs to be a priority in your life, and you need to make time for it just the same way you make time to do stuff with your kids, to get to work on time, to get projects done by certain deadlines. Just make sure that it is a priority in your life and not something that you're just treating as like, if I have time, if not, no big deal, because that's not really going to help to get you anywhere. The fourth, this is a really big one too, is are you following a structured program? Now, what I mean by that, by a structured program, does not mean it has to be overly complex. It doesn't mean it has to be some crazy program that's like, on the cutting edge of science and all this. But it does mean that there should be some structure to it in terms of what you're doing it over extended periods of time before you make changes. Like, I'm talking 4, 6, 8 weeks at a time. Because if you're just walking into the gym and just picking at random what you feel like doing, or maybe just picking based on how busy your gym is and what's available, that's really not a great formula for making progress. You're always going to get more progress by practicing the same movements for extended periods of time, progressively overloading them and getting better at them, and then making changes, around anywhere between, depending on how you like to periodize your programs, anywhere between 4 to sometimes up to 8 weeks. Now, for me personally, I don't really like going 8 weeks. I change my clients' programs every 4 to 6 weeks. But if you really like the program you're doing, you want to run that same program while progressively overloading and changing the stimulus a little bit for 8 weeks, that's totally fine. But the thing you want to make sure is that there is some sort of structure to it. So when you go to the gym, if you're working out, 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, when you walk into that gym, you should know what you're doing on Monday, you should know what you're doing on Wednesday, and you should know what you're doing on Friday. Now, that doesn't mean there can't be any flexibility. I get it. Obviously, as you can see, I'm in my gym. That's where I do my work as well. Things come up. You go to the gym. It could be super busy. Maybe you can't get on the exact piece of equipment you need, but then you modify and you pivot a little bit. But on the whole, you need to have a structured plan, okay? If you're walking into the gym and just doing random or just picking based on what's available on that given day, that's not a great formula for success. And also, if you're just going in and just sort of randomly doing things, and that's going to really not help you to make the progress that you want to make. So following a structured program is going to be super important. And finally, what you want to look at is, are you using the principle of progressive overload? So progressive overload just simply means that you are continually, where appropriate, adding weight to your lifts over periods of time to help force adaptation. So that means basically to help you get stronger, to help you build muscle. So let's say you're doing like a periodized program and you have a staggered sort of rep scheme. So like for instance, last month for a couple of my clients in my online program, I had what I would consider to be like a reverse pyramid scheme for the month. So I told them for the first week, you should be doing 12 reps. Second week should be 10 reps, then 8 reps the third week. And then by week 4, you should be hitting 6 reps. So what that means is when you're doing 12 reps on certain, let's say deadlift, and you're doing 225 on the deadlift for 12 or a squat or whatever it is. And then week 2, you're cutting it back to 10 reps. Now, for 10 reps, you should not be doing that same 225 pounds. You should be adding a little bit of weight to that. You need to help yourself to get stronger, to build muscle, and to keep making progress by using that principle of progressive overload. So the thing you need to remember is that in your programming, when you're in the gym, when you're lifting, as reps go down, the weight should be going up. So it should be a bit higher intensity. You should be working a little bit harder, lifting increasingly heavy loads and also potentially taking a little bit more break time between each set to accommodate and reflect the fact that you are working a bit harder than you were the week before. So progressive overload is a really important and often overlooked piece of program design. So if you're going in the gym and for 4 weeks straight you're doing the same weight, and not because you can't progress it, you're just not progressing it because you're choosing not to, you're going to plateau eventually and you're not going to see the progress that you want to see. Okay, so just a quick review. Number one, make sure your program is in line with the goals and what you're trying to achieve. Make sure it is realistic for you and an appropriate program for you to follow. 3, make sure you're prioritizing your training, making sure that it is a priority in your life and something that you are going to do on a consistent basis. Number 4, make sure you're following an actual structured program. That's very, very important. If you're walking into the gym having no idea what you're going to do, picking random machines and exercises, you're doing it wrong. You're not going to get the results that you want to see. It's going to take you much longer to reach your goals, okay? And finally, make sure you are incorporating that concept of progressive overload, okay? So progressively overloading your muscles as you go along by using heavier, more challenging loads as you progress through your program. Those are all very important things that might help you get back on the right track and make sure that you are making progress and we're getting the biggest bang for our buck and return on investment on our time in the gym, okay? So I hope that was helpful for you guys. If it was, please feel free to share out the link on your social media feeds or send it to somebody who you think might benefit from it. Save it for yourself as a reminder, maybe listen to it later. And of course, if you're not subscribing to my YouTube channel, I'm going to be creating content more regularly now. So if you don't want to miss out, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Follow me over on Instagram at Chris Proctor Personal Trainer. And I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Now get out there and crush your fitness goals.